All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to What's Next. Today, I'm joined by the very accomplished marketing expert and leadership extraordinaire, Selina Meere, who is currently the Chief Operating Officer at Tribina Tracks. I'm really glad you're here today, Selena. Before we get started, what I'd like to do is have you introduce yourself to folks that may not know you. So, why are you here, and what's next for you?
Hi, I'm Selina Meere, CEO of Tribina Tracks, which is a SaaS platform in the entertainment industry. It consolidates music rights and clearance efforts. And we can get into what that means if you want to. But I am running a SaaS platform that is used by the biggest media and technology companies that you all know and love. And we're a very small and incredibly talented team servicing some pretty big, important companies.
Oh,
So,
what a great
lot of
intro.
fun.
Thanks, Selena. So you started out in New York and running a marketing team. So what did you learn first about leading way back then?
Well, I had several, pivots and pirouettes as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up.
I could just see
Um,
you doing your pirouette.
well, I do call it a pirouette because pirouettes require skill and they come from a lot of practice and falling and learning and as opposed to a pivot. So I am a, New Yorker, East Coaster, and worked in New York City for most of my career and found myself in the world of book publishing in New York and actually was in PR for books and worked with a lot of celebrities who were writing books and real big budget books at Random House, and then moved over to an independent book publisher to run their PR department. That was kind of faltering and needed new leadership and a real look at the talent that was there. And that role kind of grew into building the in-house agency at that book publisher. So,
Wow,
yeah,
that's
so it was cool.
phenomenal. Wow.
Yeah, so the PR team was, bigger than the marketing team and had a lot of demands and what you learn very quickly in PR in probably all PR, but also PR and book publishing is that the churn is high. And so you are constantly meeting new team members and finding new people and reflecting on, okay, what maybe could I have done differently? The marketing teams tend to be a little bit more stable within book publishing for some
Mhm.
reason. But by the end of that, I was overseeing the PR, the marketing, the corporate communications, the digital team in an age when digital was kind of just growing. So yeah, it was a really fun job. And I was, known for the PR and those campaigns and the relationships I had with the authors and internally with all of the departments. Um, but really, as I reflect back on it, I was in an operational role, right? And even though my title was marketing and PR, it really was what's going well, what needs to be harvested, what needs to be built, where do we need to change course, what needs more money, what needs less, what needs more resources, what needs less, and how do we integrate with the rest of the company so that we're all working together. And so I kind of spent the past, I don't know, 6 months reflecting on how did I get to COO and realizing that operational muscle was crucial to getting to where I was then, made me realize how long I've actually been doing this.
Long time, and
Mhm.
it's nice to hear. But, lessons learned. So again, from starting out small and then building, 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 is there anything that you had as an aha moment that kind of helped support your leadership or pirouette your leadership?
Um, I think I have to say, like, the annual practice of reviews and also that churn so that there were a lot of exit interviews and really having to constantly reflect on yourself as a leader and take some really harsh feedback. Um, a lot of it might be misinterpretation, but there's always some truth in it or something that you need to work on. And so I always try to take it really seriously like, okay, what in this is true that I need to change? And that's not easy, and
No, I
where
mean,
do you need
yeah, sometimes those hard truths aren't easy. But I mean, obviously, you've grown to where you are now. But again, were there any nuggets back then that you kind of landed into your leadership acumen?
Yes. So I remember this one that, this young man, and it wasn't necessarily true, but he said that I led from like a my way or the highway place. And that was not actually what I was doing. I was being more demanding than maybe he wanted me to be. And I realized that, there's a balance of saying like what you want the outcomes to be versus what you want the path to get there to be. And really, what I meant to portray is that the outcomes need to be this, the effort needs to be at this level, but it doesn't mean that it has to be done in a particular way. I'm much more concerned about the end results than I am about the path. Everyone has a different path, and I think that's also something that I feel very strongly about as a leader is that not only does everyone have a different path, but everyone has a different way that they need to be managed. It's like I worked in an environment well before COVID where there wasn't working from home and there wasn't flex hours, but I had a very, very, very high performing woman who worked for me who had a 2-hour commute home. And she was at her desk by 7 a.m. every day and asked if she could leave at 4. And I said yes. And I didn't go through channels that maybe I should have,
Yeah,
but I was like, look, she's here at 7. She is churning out incredible work. Like, this is the kind of thing we have to be flexible about. Everybody else lived within a subway ride or a walk even to the office. Her
right.
circumstances were different, and I thought it required different leadership.
Something, I
And
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I think that's really important what you said. I just want to anchor it for a minute because it really is important to note that people not only lead differently like yourself, but they're on different paths on how they need to be led. And
Mhm.
you said something too about you realized that what you really needed to do was set those expectations clearly enough to have the impact you wanted or the output you wanted. You necessarily didn't need to lead people on that path because they all have their own path to get. And that's a powerful thing in leadership is to really recognize each other's individualities and how they get things done. I think it's really important, and that's a great trait of a leader. It's a great trait of a leader. Good for
Thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Thank
And
you
now
very much.
you so you pivoted, pirouetted
Pirouetted.
from New York to LA,
Mhm.
and from my understanding of what you told us, you didn't have much of a path and you just figured it out. What was that like? That's Renaissance woman right there.
That was very hard. So, yes, we moved here for my husband's job, which was an offer that, we couldn't refuse,
Yeah, yeah.
and a really good one, and ultimately, the right decision. And I thought, well, I'm at the top of my game in book publishing. It's media, it's entertainment. Many of my books go on to be movies or shows, and many of my authors are, from the screen. It'll be great. I'll land in LA and it'll be awesome, and yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was very much like you don't have the boxed experience that we were looking for or that we expect, and things would go really well and I would think that I had landed the perfect role, and then it wouldn't work out, and it was a lot. It was really hard to kind of figure out how am I going to make an impact here and make a network when I didn't have one. So
Yeah, how did you figure that out? I mean, I from California, I lived in Manhattan too, so did the same thing, landed with the
mhm.
suitcase and here I am. And come on, and hire me, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
always work that way either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you figure it out? What'd you do?
Well, I love meeting people. I love talking to people. I am very curious, and I am the first person to, when I land somewhere, to call everybody, who I know, even if it's just the teeniest bit. So there was a lot of that. And then every time that I traveled back east, or I would get together with everybody that I know, and through that people would be like, oh, you should check out this organization or this organization, or I was never afraid to say, like, oh, this role is open and I'm really curious about it. So I kind of like I got settled a little bit after joining this group for working mothers, and ended up connecting with a woman who um had been a cookbook anyway, there was a lot of connections between us, and she was starting a meal delivery company and needed
Mm,
somebody to, contract role, work on
mhm,
her marketing.
mhm.
So that at least gave me something stable. I picked up a few other jobs. Um, that meal delivery company didn't work out for a number of reasons, but then it was like somebody else who I had known from the past, who was a connection to this woman, was starting a company and needed, like, once she was pulling together her founding team, and it was like, oh,
Mhm.
so anyway, through that, I ended up a full-time job at this really ambitious fintech whose goal was to get women back into the workplace. And I was I mean, yes, applause, applause, applause. It was an uphill battle, the structure of the company, but I loved what it was doing and the goal, and it was a lot of fun. But I knew that that was going to be a bit of a stepping stone, and ultimately decided to join this women's networking group called Chief, which I've been a member of since, and met my current boss during COVID
Mm.
at an online networking event for women in media. And she knew my husband. It's just a bizarre situation. She had had her managing director leave moments before we met, and it all kind of worked out. So I would say, just like that,
And that's
constantly
where you
throwing yourself into the ring. That's
right,
what I did.
and pirouetting into the next thing. But that's where you are now, right?
Yes, I'm still
Yeah,
here.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and
So
it's
so
been
here
really
you are, right?
mhm.
You're in a it sounds like your perfect job, as COO, and I mean leadership, talk about superpower leadership. What are your lessons learned, or what can you tell us, or sort of your superpowers of leadership if you have any?
If I have any, well, you've gotta be curious. I ask a lot of questions, even if I think I know the answer. I try to ask a lot of questions and then close my mouth and let the answers flow.
Sometimes that's hard.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do. I have been told that I interrupt, but typically that's because someone's been going on for what I consider, maybe a little bit too long for the most part. You've got to just ask a lot of questions and then really listen. Don't be afraid. But in terms of my superpower as a leader, it's the ability to see and read and digest and learn from context clues and connect them. And as I do that, I make a lot of connections that others miss. And I see the through line in conversations that other people might not necessarily connect. And that's a combination of the asking of the questions and the listening. But really, I am very good at reading between the lines. And to me, that becomes the foundation for being a great leader, because that's how you can see what's going on that people aren't talking about, or you get a sense of, like, oh, I need to have a sidebar with so and so, or that's where you find out, like, okay, this person is an excellent employee. What they're not doing is asking questions, but when you force them into an environment where they're going to learn what they need to find out, they're very receptive and thankful, but they're not great at initiating it. So you've got to be the initiator and make sure that those conversations happen. So there's, that seeing everything around me, is really important. I'm in a situation like that right now where, I'm hearing one thing over here from somebody and I'm like, let me just have a little chat with everyone else involved in that, see what they all think so that I can get the real picture of how we need to move forward.
God,
And
I love
that's
what
all
you
the
said.
people
Yeah.
operations.
Oh, I can't tell you how that resonates, just that
Mhm,
ability to listen. And I think for us that are usually have that monkey brain, being able to quiet that monkey brain mind and being present with you and being able to really hear you. And that's really a definite superpower for a leader. And then you can read the room, understand your own impact, because that's important. You have an
mhm,
impact no matter what. Your
mhm.
employees have an impact no matter what. Then making sure your people are in the right place, the right seats at the right time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's amazing. And that's yeah, definitely a superpower. Um, we have just a couple minutes left. Is there anything else you want to tell folks? I've loved this conversation. You're just a really a tremendous leader,
Oh,
so thank you.
thank you, Lori. I
Yeah,
appreciate it. It's been really fun to come chat with you. Yeah.
anything else you want to end with for us?
Um, Anything else I wanna end with? I don't think so.
Superpower. We'll just end there. We don't need anything
We're
else.
just gonna
So,
end there with my superpower,
yeah,
that's right.
that
Well, I would
listening. Good.
say,
Yeah.
as a leader, don't look at the boxes that you wanna check off because that is not necessarily gonna guide you to the right new employees. And I have found that not paying attention to that has always brought me the best people.
God, I love that too. I mean, your intuition must be through the roof.
I try. It's
I'm
not the
sure
kind
it
of thing
is.
that you can write down on a resume, though.
No, but I see it and I feel it, so good
Thank
for you.
you, thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, congratulations. You really have had a wonderful career so far. Have done so much, in your own leadership journey. So, again, what a pleasure, what an honor. Thank you so much, and, until next time.
That's right, Lori, thank
Alrighty,
you.
take